Subscribe to both of my YouTube channels, Sharon Winbush and Goddess Sharon. Sharon is spelled with 2 R's. Turn on notifications, like the video, and most importantly, share the video with everyone that you know and share it globally. Thank you. Press my name below this video and that will take you to my channel where you will find more videos on this subject and many others. Let me educate those in the way back of the class. Class is now in session. Mother Nature, God consciousness, God, universal intelligence, created the female anatomy for reproduction. A uterus, a cervix, fallopian tubes, ovulation are used for reproductive purposes. Nature designed the human form. God designed the human anatomy. And within the female anatomy is a biological timing system that indicates the ripeness for procreation. When that happens, a female has what's known as a menstruation cycle, a period, where her body begins to develop eggs. If that egg is not fertilized, it releases itself from the body and you have bleeding. That goes on monthly, so it's called her monthly cycle. Nature has decided when this occurs, the female species is ready for sex because the only way you can procreate is through intercourse. That's God's design, Mother Nature's design, God consciousness design, universal intelligence. You can't improve on God. Let me educate the uneducated, inform the uninformed, and school the special needs people in the way back of the class, the D- students who either don't understand how to use a dictionary, they don't own a dictionary, and or they are too lazy to Google. I hear the word pedophilia thrown around very loosely, so let's go to what the actual definition of that is. This is an article about the sexual preference towards prepubescent children. For other types of sexual attraction toward children and adolescents, see those sections. Pedophilia is a psychiatric disorder in which an adult or older adolescent experiences a primary or exclusive sexual attraction to prepubescent children. Although girls typically begin the process of puberty at age 10 or 11 and boys at age 11 or 12, criteria for pedophilia extend the cutoff point for prepubescence to age 13. A person must be at least 16 years old and at least 5 years older than the prepubescent child for the attraction to be diagnosed as pedophilia. Pedophilia is termed pedophilic disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. And the manual defines it as a paraphilia involving intense and recurrent sexual urges towards and fantasies about prepubescent children that have either been acted upon or which cause the person with the attraction distress or interpersonal difficulty. The International Classification of Diseases defines it as a sustained, focused, and intense pattern of sexual arousal as manifested by persistent sexual thoughts, fantasies, urges, or behaviors involving pre-pubertal children. Teenagers are having sex, and they're having sex at age 14, 15, 16, and up. We know that because there are many shows on television that say 16 and pregnant, uh, Teen Mom, which are popular shows on MTV. And you have about 9 different shows that talk about teen pregnancies, which means teenagers are volitionally having sex. Planned Parenthood offers information for teens under 18 so they can get birth control, STD testing, any needs that they have. Planned Parenthood addresses specifically needs for teenagers. They're not doing that because there's not a demand. Every Planned Parenthood across the country has information for people under 18. That's because teenagers are engaging in sex volitionally. They are doing it with or without permission. They are doing it because they want to. They are doing it without coercion. Teens are having sex. And the age that they begin having sex is specific to the individual. Is God wrong? Is nature wrong? Is universal consciousness wrong? Did they get it wrong? Because throughout nature, we see the female of the species having a period when the female is ripe for procreation. And in order to procreate, there has to be intercourse. So throughout nature, we see throughout the animal kingdom, throughout the mammals, we see females having a period, which is an indication by nature, by God, by universal consciousness, that this female is now ripe, ready, prepared to engage in intercourse for procreation. If God wanted females to not have sex until they were 18, God would have built that into the female anatomy upon design. It would have been in the owner's manual. God did not design females for that. Most females start their period at 13 years of age. Some late bloomers get it at 14, but on average, females begin menstruation at 12, 13, 14 years of age. And the average female loses her virginity at the age 15 or 16 years. Males around the same time or maybe a little younger. So for every female listening, how old were you when you lost your virginity? When you decided to have sex for the first time, how old were you? And how old was the other person? How old was your mother? How old was your grandmother? Historically, females lose their virginity at age 15, 16, and 17, somewhere in that timeline. But I think the vast majority of it is sexual intercourse is had by the time they're 16, and definitely by senior prom. Very few people wait until they get to college to have sex or past the age of 18. So this is nature, this is natural, this is God's creation, this is Mother Nature. Religion came into play and began shaming females about their sexuality and saying, if you're a woman, you have to wait until you're married to have sex. And that was indoctrinated around the world. So females began hiding their sexuality, hiding their sexual desires, hiding their sexual behavior. Historically, around the globe, it has also been commonplace for young females to want to have sex with men of means, Men that can take care of them, men that can do for them financially, men that have cars, that have money, that have status, that have fame, that have anything that this person can elevate their life with. The more a man had, the more desirable he was for the female species, because females looked for security. That's the number one thing they looked for. Throughout history, females have looked for security. And that's why you see famous people, rich people, powerful people always having the pick of the litter, so to speak. You don't see the manager of Popeye's Chicken with female problems. It just doesn't happen. He's getting a little, but not a lot. But the more money a man has, the more fame a man has, the more power and prestige a man has, the more people come at him from all walks of life. Females wanting to have sex, males wanting to have sex, their families having get-rich-quick schemes. It goes on all day, every day. And historically, this has taken place. Mary was 15 years old, and she was with Joseph in his 70s. We've had families who married off their 15-year-old virgins to men of means who were 30, 40, and sometimes even 50 years old to elevate the status of the family. This has been commonplace throughout history. Commonplace that females willingly have sex at 15 and 16. Commonplace that they have desired older men with money and with prestige and with fame. And commonplace that it was a consensual relationship. What brought it into the legal arena is mothers and fathers not wanting their teens to have sex. And they put people in place, vote people into office to put laws in place. So you have age of consent that varies from city to city, state to state, country to country. So it's a legal thing, but it's also a religious thing. What it is not is of God's making, because God designed females to procreate when they have their period. The minute she starts bleeding, according to God, according to Mother Nature, according to universal consciousness, the female is ripe for sex. Not my rule, God's rule. According to laws, the female should only have sex depending on what geographic region she's in. It could be 16, it could be 17, it could be 18. Some places it's as young as 13. It depends on the government, it depends on the ruler, it depends on the laws they put in place. And in every family, parents rear their children how they want them reared. Teenagers are engaging consensually in sex, and we have evidence of that all over the place. They are deciding when they lose their virginity, and they are deciding who they lose their virginity to. And it's no one else's business. Every one of us has made that decision for ourselves, and we didn't want people putting their nose in our business. And we should respect that with everyone else. I don't have a heaven or a hell to put anyone in. Therefore, I don't have a judgment. I don't have a condoning attitude, and I certainly don't have a condemnation. I take the information in and I utilize it to elevate the perspective of people and to educate. That's what the purpose of these videos are for. Education. Elevate your thinking.